Gotcha, gotcha. Well, we have a unique conversation that we're going to engage in today, Kristen. You are very passionate about the production process, the getting, not just the marketing the book once it's created, but the actual creation of the book. And so I want to talk to you today about what it means to put together a book with the forethought of it needing to sell. And so selling 1,000 books in 21 days doesn't make a lot of sense, or is a lot more difficult if you have a piece of garbage that you're trying to push on people. But if you have a lot better book, yeah. So let's start the conversation on that. Why is it important to have a book that's well written? I mean, aside from the obvious, like what does it do?
Well, most nonfiction books, and nonfiction is my expertise, and most nonfiction books, people only read the first 20%, and that's it. So I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's super high, like 95% of all nonfiction books, only 20% of those books get actually read, where the readers will read basically the first chapter or two and then put the book down. Most of the time, that's not due to a lack of time on the part of the person reading. Most of the time, it's due to the horrible grammar or the lack of editing and typos. I mean, I have been reading this book, The Art of Persuasion by Bob Burg, which is traditionally published, which means it's been through at least eight complete rounds of editing. Most self-published authors do one round of basic copy editing. Traditionally published books go through 8 rounds of developmental editing, which means basically rewriting the book over and over and over and over again by 4 different people and the author. So that's 5 people total. So 5 pairs of eyes looking at this book, and I have found a half a dozen typos in the first half of the book. Major typos, mind you, not like missing words and missing portions of sentences.
Wow.
So that is why people tend to put books down. And this book is taking me a while to read. I love Bob Burg. He's actually a friend of mine, and he's awesome. And I love this book. And it's very hard for me to get past when I have to reread a sentence 2 or 3 times to figure out what it means. And that's too much work. People are so busy and they're so sick of working that the harder you make it on them, the more likely they're going to be to set the book down, which means they're not going to recommend it to their friends and family. And word-of-mouth marketing is the most solid form of marketing even today to guarantee book sales. So if you cut off word-of-mouth with a poorly edited and poorly written book to begin with, you're cutting out a lot of your potential sales.
So then, as a self-published author, is it my job to find people to do that for me, to jump in with a company to have it edited developmentally and many times over? I mean, is that what it takes to create a book that gets the grammar all ironed out and stuff like that?
And I will tell you, I mean, obviously that book that I just showed you still has errors in it. So it doesn't matter how many people you go through and how many sets of eyes look at it and how many times they read it, you are still going to have a few typos in your book. And a lot of authors use that as an excuse to not publish at all. When the fact of the matter is there's nothing perfect, so your perfectionism is getting in the way of your book getting finished. Now that being said, once you find those typos, there's no reason you can't go back and fix them nowadays. That's pretty easy to do. So pay attention to that, but don't let it keep you from publishing. But make sure you've gone through it at least a couple of times before it gets published, and use a professional.